I've gone ahead and gotten it installed on Sparky 8. And if you're interested in how to get this installed, carry on watching and I'll show you. So Sparky 2024-01 has been released, and it's basically the rolling images, and of course it has updated packages from Debian Trixie, which will be the future Debian 13. And you can see here a whole array of updated packages, new kernels, updated CLI installer, everything. But if you have a keen eye, you'll see they've added the MLVWM window manager. Well, if we take a look, this window manager is a Macintosh-like virtual window manager that once existed and last got updates about 3 years ago. Okay, so first thing you need to do is get the new ISO image of SparkyLinux. You can just use the minimal. You need to either use the minimal CLI or the minimal GUI version. I just use the minimal CLI. And here we can just type in that it is Debian. It is after all Debian testing. Give it a good amount of memory. And we can just call it Sparky. Let's start it up. And let's start the CLI. And one of the things about Sparky CLI, installing it that way, it gives you a much wider array or broader options of interfaces to install on SparkyLinux. Sure, you could go ahead and install it all with a GUI and everything else afterwards, but doing it like this can keep it nice and lean and trim. So we're going to start with sudo, and we're going to go Sparky-installer. And it talks about the live installer. Generally, they want you to do a sudo apt update and a sudo apt installer sparky-backup call. I'm not going to do that for today, but we're just going to continue. And generally, if you have different keyboard locales, you can add them here. By default, it's already got my locale, which is ENUSUTF, which would be the standard for a lot of folks. Okay, I'm not going to change any key maps on my keyboard. I'm going to keep to encoding UTF-8 and my character to support Latin 1 and Latin 5, Western Europe and Turkic languages. That is if you have a normal QWERTY keyboard, essentially. Okay, console will be fixed. 8x16 configuring console. That's okay. Generic keyboard is fine. English, US. I'm going to keep mine as a default layout. I don't have a compose key. And we're now going to select the hard drive for the installer. And I'm just going to create a normal DOS partition or GPT free partition or just a normal MBR. So I'm just going to say new. I'm going to make this 100 gigs. I'm going to make it my primary. I'm going to make it bootable. And then I'm going to write, let's say yes, and quit. Now it shows me the partition we've created, as well as it's asking about swap. We don't need a swap partition in this case, so I'm going to say no swap. And it's asking where do we want to install. Of course, this is what we just set up. So VDA1 and ext4, the newer file system. And we're going to put everything in the root partition. So we're going to enter a password and confirm it and enter my real name, gosh, enter my username, gosh, enter a strong password and hostname. I'll just call it Sparky Linux CLI. And we do want to install grub bootloader. We want to install it to the MBR or to VDA. And by default, 5 seconds is okay. It's our system set your current time. I'm going to say yes. And my local time zone is PST at the moment. So that would mean LA. And new user gosh is going to be created. ext4 partition and grub. Yep. say install this. And what it's going to do now is it's basically going to copy over this live system, as it were, to the hard drive first. And then once this portion is done, we'll move on to the next step, which of course is going to be selecting our user interface and our web browser, and we'll carry on from there. Okay, you can install your desktop with a very small set of applications. So would we like to do it now? We're going to say yes. And first he's asking us which interface do we want. You can see here you can have everything from CDE, common desktop environment, JWM, KDE, Lumina, Mate, not a common desktop, Sway, WebMaker, UKI, so many of them. But what we want to do today is the Macintosh-like virtual manager, so we're going to select that. Okay, default browser, I'm going to select Firefox ESR. Yes, I do. And what it's going to do now, it's going to download the packages. And it's going to install the packages. And we'll wait for that to be done. Okay, so once that portion is done, system's going to ask you to restart. You're going to restart and you're going to get to this login screen. Firstly, make sure you change from default X session to MLV. And now let's log in. So it's going to load with this menu bar failed. Give it a couple of seconds. And here we are. Here is the screen. And here we have calculator we can open. Close that. Clock. Yeah. Close that. And a terminal over here. And as you can see here, this is SparkyLinux. Right, so it is of course the edition we said we would install over here. Okay, let's I'm using not much memory. Okay, now apps that it has got web, which of course opens up Firefox. So if you click on this thing, you can kind of change its position. If you double click it, kind of like minimizes the bar, and you click on that, it closes it. All right. Really interesting. And here, of course, then it shows you some what the other apps are. And of course, this browser loads. And if I go to special, no options there. If I go to files, however, it gives me a file manager, right, which in this case is PCManFM. And if I want to launch other applications, I need to go here. And let's say I go to Office and there's Mutt. Or let's say we go back one to graphics, image shack here, that is right. I'm not too sure how to make these show up on the bar, if you even can create a shortcut. But here is if I install something new, it's going to land up in here. So you would have to go here to find your apps, which could be interesting. Let's close that. Let's close that. Then we've got a run. So if we want to obviously launch something, screenshot tool. So as it says, to create screenshots. Synaptic package manager. Just close that. App plus. Okay. Xclock, which I've shown you. Xeyes. Woo, Xeyes. Following. Woo. Okay. Xman. Manual browser. Okay. And the X terminal, which we've already seen. And of course on this side here, just a clock, the time, X window. And here of course are different applications you can set up or install. So we could even, for example, if we wanted to go and install Lumia, and it would actually install the applications for us. So folks, let me know what you think of this interface. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is it something you'd use? Personally, it's not something I'm going to use because I don't find it extremely useful. But hey, let me know. As always, thanks for watching and bye for now.